Morning, or almost afternoon. Let's see who is able to get on today. It's almost the end of July. This is crazy. Hi, Kelly. All right, well, I'll just get started. I know a lot of people just listen to this later when they can, which is great. But I'll just get started for today. So last week we talked a lot about trust. Good morning, Julie. We talked a lot about trust. So hopefully everyone has given some thought to what levels of trust they are willing to give people and where they might be able to separate out different levels of trust as far as trusting with instructions or safety, different levels. So hopefully everyone was able to give some thought about that and to look at their dream list for their schedule and who they might want to get involved and start to layer those things together. How does the schedule fit in with the dream activities and then the dream people to do those activities? And you'll start to see it start to blend together. Hopefully you've been able to budge a little, maybe fill out one little piece of information, even just on the first page, just to get started. Doesn't even have to be in this caregiver template that I put together, just on a piece of paper somewhere. Again, just the real challenge is to just start getting things out of your head. That's the first step to starting to get better organized and getting a little bit of the weight off your shoulders. So today we're going to talk about the next two tabs on the caregiver sheet, which are the symptoms page and your diet page. Before we jump in, I don't know if I mentioned this in some of the other weeks, but one of the acronyms that I love to use, that somebody, I did not make this up, can't take credit for it, but it gets me motivated sometimes, is, you know that feeling when your house is a wreck and someone's about to come over, and how you all of a sudden start to magically pull off things that you were never able to pull off before. You have guests coming and all of a sudden things get fixed that never got fixed before. So that acronym is CHAOS, and CHAOS stands for Can't Have Anyone Over Syndrome. And I just love that. You have to get out of the chaos, out of the spot where you just can't have anyone over, and into the next level, not where you can have anybody over anytime, that's probably impossible, but to where you have that energy to like actually move forward and fix some things that have just been sitting around that you've been ignoring. So throw a little chaos energy at it. That's what I call it. I put the symptoms tab after the care tab that we talked about last week, where you were actually listing out with the body parts, head to toe, everything to do with hair, what you use to wash it, how you wash it, how often you wash it, just every little thing down the line. The symptoms piece, let me grab, I printed these out. Again, this template, do what you need with it. Every person you're caregiving for has a totally different list of things that need to be dealt with. I put some common ones here: seizures, headaches, constipation, poor circulation, weight gain, weight loss. And talked about not only the medicine that's taking care of those things, so that people understand why certain medicines that they're putting together in that care schedule, what they mean. But there's other ways of dealing with symptoms, and you may do these things without even thinking about it. But other people are going to need some instruction. I mean, you might intuitively know, oh, my daughter's legs feel really tight today. I'll just do some extra massage, or we'll take an extra hot bath. I mean, you just kind of do these things and you don't really think about them as an actual plan of care. So start writing and thinking about the diet and how that affects things. Any natural remedies you're using. I know a lot of people might use magnesium for anxiety, things like that, melatonin, whatever you're using, and the therapeutic things like the massaging and the baths. Write those things down. And then there's always, notes section. Just remember to check different things. Environmental things sometimes can really throw the kids off, whether it's a storm coming or spring allergies. Just things for other people to be mindful of. As I said, storm, a cloud just passed by the window. So that's an important thing, and I think it's important also to have the symptoms tab right next to the diet tab. Everyone will have their own take on this, but for me and our journey personally, diet has gone hand in hand with symptoms. We have been able to maybe not fully control or help things just with diet, but it plays a huge factor. And we're always tweaking things. I'm always looking at things and reevaluating to see where diet can play in. So I think that's important. So this week's trust level layer over this might be a little different, because this is less about, it can always be about who your child is as a person, but these are much more objective things. This is what we feed, when we feed, how much we feed. These are the symptoms. These are how we care for them. You don't necessarily need the person to be your child's best friend. These are more of the caregiver role things. So if you have people who are very good at details, very good at following instruction, they might not be the one doing a dance party with your child or singing songs to them and being their friend. But this is the part of the personality where you want the people who are super detailed. And you can make them into that as well. My kids have, they're 24 and 19 now, around my daughter, older and younger than Sarah, have done a great job at following instructions and helping me write instructions better. So for the symptoms piece, you can also go head to toe with this. I just put some common ones, but you could maybe go head to toe with that as well if that's important. And add more details to this as you need. You can also maybe add on this page any sort of anomalies because of the syndrome or whatever physical things are going on. I know Sarah has 3 or 4 genetic just anomalies about her body that are because of her syndrome. They don't mean anything. They don't need any extra care, but I'm so used to them that I forget that it kind of makes people nervous if they see it and they say, "Oh, what, should I be concerned about that, or what happened, or what do I do?" And oh, don't worry about that. So if you have things like that, maybe this could be a place to write it down at the bottom, say things not to worry about, or these are some explainers about things you might see on their bodies. Back to details and instructions, the diet page. I added in on the breakfast columns. When I originally wrote this, I was just counting calories. but I added in fats and proteins. You can change this and add columns and add whatever you are trying to track. For us, calories, fat, and protein were very important for Sarah to maintain her weight. She's small. She's only 90 pounds and like 5'1", but she needs 2,000 calories a day just to maintain that. So everybody's going to be different there, what they really need to track. I'll interject a fun story here with the instruction piece. And we talked about this in past weeks as well. Getting things out of your head is not easy. And we make things maybe more complicated than they need to be. Definitely food instructions is not where we need complication. This comes up. I remember last week we were talking about the priority levels of, is this something that is life or death? Is this something that if it isn't followed directly, it will just mean some discomfort, or does it not really matter at all? You could maybe even add a column or stars, come up with a system. It would be amazed that when people really want to follow instructions, they also don't want to deviate at all, and they are really like, For instance, an example of life or death priority level, like my daughter's food has to be blended. If you try to just start feeding her a hamburger or something, she's going to choke, and that is a very life or death situation for her. So all of her food needs to be blended. An example maybe just of something causing discomfort would be giving her oatmeal. Oats give her some gas. It's not going to kill her, but it's going to be uncomfortable and maybe not the best choice for her. And an example of not a big deal, we ran out of apple juice. There's no more apple juice. Can I give her some pear juice? Absolutely. So those are things we just do naturally. We know what those things are, but it's amazing, and it's good amazing when people get a little frozen because they don't know what those things are. Because for someone else, they could maybe have, I'm making this up, they could have an allergy to pear juice, and that would be their priority level 1 life or death situation. So figure out a way, as you're writing things down, maybe just a star. This is a 1-star concern. This is a 2-star concern. This is a 3-star concern. But again, if these details are overwhelming for you and they're keeping you from filling this out, do that piece second. Like the details of figuring out how many calories things have and how much fat they have or how much protein they have. That takes extra work. Don't let it stop you from starting to write things down. So step 1 might be to just write the list of the foods and then go back in later and layer in. The reason, even though the person feeding them probably wouldn't need to know how much calories, if they just follow it, they know they're getting everything they need. But for long-term care, I think it's really important that people understand why you built the plan the way you did. They're not just saying, oh, well, this is what I give her and I don't know why, but so that they understand and appreciate that it was put together with certain things in mind that are important for their specific situation, whether they're on a ketogenic diet, for seizures. There's all kinds of food-based systems that help people, and this will help people understand why you've written those things down. The other reason that I have found, just personally in our family, that it has helped to write those things down is I automatically start looking at it in relationship to the rest of the family and myself personally. Like, oh, I didn't know that had that much fat in it, or I wonder how much protein I need and how much protein I'm getting in a day. It really starts to sort of wake things up. Our personal journey with diet with our daughter, she was very irritable first few years of life, lots of eczema, screaming at night, constipation. So I had read about a gluten-free, dairy-free diet through the autism community and saw the success some of those parents were having, and we decided to try it with our daughter, and it helped everything. Her skin cleared up, she slept through the night, it fixed her constipation. It was so important for her. So we immediately started on this path of these foods for Sarah that were gluten-free and dairy-free, which by nature end up being healthier foods. We started going all organic for her, and she had her own separate little shelf in the fridge and her own shelf in the pantry. And one day I thought, maybe we all should be eating a little bit better. Maybe some of these things we can share. And we started stealing from Sarah's shelf and stealing her food and getting used to eating it. And now we all eat better. Just recently, my age, going through menopause, I'll just say it. Trying to figure out what was causing different symptoms I was having. And I was going through Sarah's list again and making sure her calorie count was good. And I've been pretty fatigued and started, well, why don't I just write down all my calories? How am I doing? And I wasn't even almost to half of the calories I'm supposed to be getting in a day at my age and my activity level, which is exactly opposite of what I needed to do. So I actually need to eat more. And surprise, I have more energy. So the wonderful side effects of writing these things down and doing it is it not only gets it out of your head for that long-term care piece for your child, but it actually, you are able to do better for yourself and just build a better plan for right now in the present. Another funny story I'll share about writing instructions down. This is something I think about all the time when I'm writing things down. Is in third grade, we had an exchange student from Germany come to our school, and she didn't speak English, very little English. She was walking around with her dictionary trying to translate everything. And the teacher came up with a great exercise for us all to learn about written communication. And she had us all write down instructions for how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Easy, right? 2 pieces of bread, peanut butter, jelly, slap it together, gone. So we each wrote our instructions down. The teacher actually gave her a loaf of bread, a big jar of peanut butter, and a big jar of jelly. And she didn't even know what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich was, because in Germany they don't eat like that. And she had to follow our instructions and translate into her dictionary and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it was hysterical. I mean, because we would say things like, put peanut butter and jelly on both sides of the bread, and she would literally put peanut butter and jelly on both sides of the bread and try to stick it together and eat it. And it was hilarious. So that was in third grade, and I still remember it, and I still think about that when I'm writing something down, is how is someone going to interpret this? It makes sense to me. I do it every day. So when my son or my daughter or my husband, I say, hey, try to follow these instructions. There were some things there. I said, what are you doing that for? I said, well, it says this. It's like, oh, I didn't even think about that being inferred that way. So definitely have people, test out and try to follow what you've written down as far as the food preparation, because it can be kind of a big eye-opener for people. And again, be thinking about who on your dream P.O.M squad list has these skills and would be interested in being this piece. Because if you're going to be buying food and preparing food, especially in advance, it'd be great to have somebody who could support, even just be a support for whoever is going to be caring for your child. And this is a dynamic list. I'm constantly learning new things. Sometimes I think I get a little bit over the top in analyzing and learning about all the different ingredients that are going into Sarah's body. But, I'm also trying to save money. And sometimes I'll find a cheaper product or a cheaper way of doing things. For instance, for the last, I don't know, almost her whole life, she's been getting liquid calcium magnesium. But each bottle is like $14, $15. So I try to get it when it's on sale for like $11. And it has calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D in it. And the levels that are in it, the 600, the 300, and the 400 IUs are perfect. But I just figured out if I buy those separately from each other in bulk, I save 75%, if not more. Instead of the 30 doses for the $15, I can get like 200 doses for the same amount of money. So I'm not completely through the test phase to make sure her body's handling it in the same way. We give that to her for her constipation in addition to the gluten-free, dairy-free diet. But stop every once in a while. Sometimes things you've been doing for 10 years need to be looked at again. There's new products that have come in since 10 years ago. People have made improvements on products. New products come into mind. I'm trying to stay away from products that are made overseas just for things like that. And Julie just pointed out to include photos. So that's perfect. That's a great idea. Yep, you could upload a photo. And next week we're going to talk about products. You can have a whole food list and links to where you even buy the products if you have a preferred place. Yeah, photos, great idea. Add those photos. I always send my husband off to the store with photos too. Thank goodness for smartphones. So that really, about wraps up these two columns. Depending on how involved your child is, these could be very, very long pages, or it could be pretty short. I was amazed. I just a few weeks ago went to the Pitt-Hopkins. My daughter has Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. I went to the Pitt-Hopkins Family Conference in Chicago and met another girl who looks exactly like my daughter, acts exactly like my daughter, same age as my daughter, even the same name. But she was able to eat anything the family was eating and chewing, just having a salad, having a burger, eating fries. I was like, what? Like, I was shocked. So every person is so unique. And I know this piece, all these tabs are so unique to your situation. But the keys are to get it out of your head, learn to write it down and simplify. During that simplification process, you'll get better organized. And then, and just revisit. Use it as a living document for now to help you make better decisions, learn, switch around. I get caught in ruts with certain foods, and I realize that she needs a change every once in a while. And the little smile that I get when I change something up is good, because she's like, hey, a new flavor, thank you, Mom. So, that's always nice. So next week, we'll talk about the products page. Homework for this week, for this challenge. The challenge is to start writing things down, taking pictures. That might be even easier. Take pictures of everything and have someone else help you write things down. If you were able to meet the challenge of finding a buddy to help you stay accountable through this process, if they live nearby, maybe get together and do it together, or pick up the phone or do FaceTime and walk around your kitchen and figure things out as a team. Sometimes these tough things are just easier when you're working with other people. So good luck this week. We're at the end of July, and starting to head into August, and I know school's going to be starting up in a couple weeks for some people. So, let's get a real start on this. Just the basics. If your child is in a program during the school year, then you might have some time to go back and layer in those details then. But for now, get your mind in the right place and just get started. So, good luck, everybody, and have a great week. Talk to you next week. Bye.